Any Blue's Clues fans out there? I hope so. I loved Blue's Clues as a kid. I really loved all cartoons. I was a huge cartoons girl. I've been watching French cartoons, like on YouTube, to learn the ABCs and the alphabet. The ABCs and the alphabet are the same thing. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Cageless Podcast. I'm Jenny, obviously, because there's no other host for the Cageless Podcast. It's just me and my dog Copper, which I wish you could see him right now. He's the most perfect, precious angel, and he's laying on my very clean bed. But what his is mine, and what mine is his. What is mine is his. Words are hard today. I hope that everyone that's watching this is sitting somewhere cozy and warm, unless you like it to be cold. I don't like cold. I despise cold, to be quite honest. And today's the first day that I've worn a sweater here in Paris. I think that it's probably like 55 degrees. I don't know if that's dramatic. I'm from Texas, so I need to wear more clothing to be warmer because I'm a lizard and I need heat and sun. Every morning when the sun is out, it's like my number one priority after I meditate and pray to get in the sun, which I know that there's neuroscience and like health things that have to do with that. But really, I just think it's the marrow of who I am as a Texan. I just need the sun and I need the heat. Today, I want to talk to you guys. Well, this episode actually wasn't on the agenda today, but I was super inspired to talk about this because I had a discussion with a friend, and I was just thinking about how cool it is that you have the paintbrush to your life. And yes, there are circumstances and external things that you can't control, but there is so much that you can control. And when you're young, I guess you fall under authority figures. I mean, both like from your parents and teachers and coaches and the government. But there's so much permission that if you were raised anything like me, I'm really grateful for my parents and the structure that they provided. But whenever you're older and you provide for yourself and you have your own life, you get to make the rules of your own life. You don't have to follow the rules of anyone else. Especially being an artist, you are allowed to unironically paint a beautiful canvas for what you want your life to look like, but more importantly, what you want your life to feel like. And I always thought that I would find happiness on the other side of rules or on the other side of structures of what other people told me what is good or what would bring me fulfillment. And I tried. I especially tried when I was in my early 20s living in Los Angeles, and I especially tried when I also was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and working for a Christian organization. And there's so many different dreams that I think, especially in America, were sold of if you look a certain way or act a certain way or live within a certain structure that you are going to wake up and like fully be satisfied. But I think it's more about the systems that you create for your own well-being. And when you go through a really hard time or a difficult period of your life, like I went through a breakup this summer, and it was such a difficult, really abrupt breakup. It's a really great metaphor. When a castle crumbles or when like a house or a structure crumbles, it's gone. And you have the opportunity to hire new architects. You get to pick out new paint. You get to decorate this new house of your life. And even though it can be really painful and you might not know exactly what to do, because if you were building a structure on the rules of someone else or even the rules that you used to make for yourself, you feel kind of aimless. And I guess at 28, the last structure that I built in my, I don't want to say immaturity, but in my like adolescent mindset of doing what other people wanted me to do, crumbled being in a relationship with someone who I really thought I could build a life with, and I was building a life with, crumbled. And all of the check boxes and ideas and feelings that I was told to kind of go along with and like were the green light to do things, at least from the outside. It doesn't matter what your life looks like. It matters what your life feels like. And when you lay your head down at night, you have to face you. And when your heart and your soul aren't aligned with what you're doing, you cannot deny yourself. You cannot deny your own needs and your own wants. And whenever the canvas or the house or whatever metaphor that you want to use crumbles or breaks or falls apart, you have the opportunity to start over. And even though that can be really scary, I think having autonomy over your own will is so important, especially as a young woman. And when you're in your 20s, you think, oh, like, I have to have this achieved or I have to look like this. No, you don't. You don't have to do anything. In fact, I have never been happier than when I am only trying to impress myself and I'm only doing things on my side of the street. That's not to say you should be a super selfish person that only thinks about your wants and needs and no one else's, but I think you have to put on your oxygen mask before anyone else's. You have to water your plant before you can give to anyone else's pot. You have to look out for yourself because it's for the good of the world. And I've just been thinking about this concept. I heard it on a podcast this week about not being sorry for what you want or who you are, but having sovereignty. So not I'm sorry, but self-sovereignty and having discernment over your life for the good of the realm, the good of the kingdom and the life that you've created around you. So the more that you're you, the sooner the people looking for you will find you. And I've said that before, but I also think that the sooner you're you, the sooner that you find yourself and you are who you are looking for. Your whole life, you're looking for you. And you should create a space and time and moments that feel good in your life every day. And obviously, you cannot always do this, but you can control your insides. And for a really long time, I wasn't the greatest advocate for myself. I was living in the lines that other people drew for me. And when I decided I don't want to let anyone else hold the paintbrush or the pen or the hammer, we're going with a lot of like creation metaphors today. I will also say it's important to have a teacher of like what creation, good creation looks like, because I think you can also use this for evil or for bad. One of the reasons why I continue to follow Jesus is because I think that he has a beautiful rule of life. The English word rule originates from Latin, which actually means straight, like a rod. It doesn't mean a set of strict things that you're supposed to follow. It's more of a guideline. It's more of like a ruler. So when you are drawing a straight line on a wall or on a piece of paper and you use a straight ruler, it's a really accurate guide. And I have decided to use Jesus's rule of life as how I want to guide my life. It's not a punishment system or a system that is going to keep me from having something else for the sake of not being punished. It's because I believe that his way of living was better than the way that I choose to live, because oftentimes I lead myself astray. A great example of this is, for a big majority of my life, I struggled with disordered eating for the sake of perfectionism, for the sake of performing, for the sake of reward externally and control internally. And using Jesus's rule of life of treating my body like a temple, being present with the people that I'm eating with, living off of the example that he lived from, is how I want my life to be. And that's kind of the only guideline that I try to measure my life with. My satisfaction comes from living like my Savior, who I chose. I chose to live like this. The containers that you choose to put yourself in actually allow you freedom. And I heard a interview with Elizabeth Olsen, and she was talking about how when you have constraints on a film set, there's actually a lot more creativity. And it can become like an incubator, because in science, when there are different atoms all within one container, that's when energy is moving. And so, like, the tighter the container, the more it, like, creative energy on a film set, at least. How do you want your container to look? Because having all of the freedom in the world kind of depletes your energy. I just think that it's really important to ask yourself the question of, who do I want to be? Where do I want to be? And, like, look at leaders and look at people of whose life that inspire you. And if someone's life doesn't inspire you, then seek it out. Like, seek out someone who does, because I promise you that so many people before you came and probably know a lot more than you do. But also a lot of people came before you and don't know as much as you do. So this was my rant of the day about leading your own life of your own integrity and not following anyone's rule book, and being influenced by beautiful things that light you up and move towards the goodness of the world. And I love you guys. I always end on that note. I am wearing a green sweater, and it's November 1st, and I'm not sure when this episode will come out, but I love you, and thanks for being here.